Hello and welcome back to Baldy Cats. Now, for those of you who don't know, Globebusters are a team of self-proclaimed scientific experts who claim to be able to prove that the Earth isn't actually a spinning ball. Now, last Sunday, I had the pleasure of watching them try and take down one of my videos that I've linked into the description, which explains why the Earth can have an atmosphere next to the vacuum of space. Here's the introduction they gave me.
This is a guy that's teaching your kids over in the UK.
Well, first of all, not everybody's got kids in the UK. And secondly, it's comments like that one that makes him say this.
He is so smug. It's absolutely over the top.
Thanks, Bobby. Now, in this video, we're going to look at just how academically weak the Globebusters team actually are, as they make one calamitous error after another as they try and go through my video. But before we start that, I have to explain one simple point. Well, it's simple to you and me, not so simple to the Globebusters team. When we're talking about pressure, if I want to measure the pressure or gas pressure right here, right in this space here, if I'm going to measure that, then I need something in that area for the gas particles to bounce off, because when a particle bounces off something, there's a change of momentum and that provides the force. Now, if I have something here, it's going to experience a pressure, and it'll experience at sea level a pressure of about 14.7 psi. Now, if I take it out of this particular area here, it's no longer experiencing that pressure. Sure, we get gas particles bouncing off each other, but we're not going to measure the pressure there until we take an object and we put it in that space to feel the pressure. The fact that I've got walls in the room around this really are absolutely secondary to the fact that I'm putting a ball here, or I'm not putting a ball there, or I'm putting a ball here, or I'm not. It's not a difficult concept. Let's see how the Globebusters team deal with that. So I'm going to start with what is pressure. So pressure is defined as the force per unit area. So in other words, I have to have a force upon an area. And with gas pressure, this is my living room and these are
that's the first bit, right? He has to he literally said it. He has to have a force on an area. So if you haven't got the area, how on earth do you have a pressure? Right?
That's the first one.
Nice buzzing, Bob. Let me explain again. If the ball is here, the particles will bounce off it, creating a force, a pressure of 14.7 psi. If the ball is not there, they're not going to bounce off the ball. It's not a difficult concept, but yet they continue to struggle with it. We know at sea level, the pressure we get is about 14.7 psi. Now, the thing...
And again, what are these gas molecules bouncing off of to give us that 14.7 psi? Again, undefined variable, so this entire equation is invalid.
Wow, what a conclusion to make. So just because Bobby from Globebusters doesn't understand the simple concept we're trying to make, he's actually claiming that the equations pressure equals force divided by area and force equals change of momentum over time are actually invalid. Remember, these guys are self-proclaimed scientific experts.
I don't know why he keeps saying bounce off, or just, it would be just as easy to say just press up against and hold. Things aren't going to be completely in perpetual motion all the time.
Now, at this point, I've got to ask, have the Globebusters team literally learned anything about physics ever in the entirety of their existence? They are claiming that gas particles don't strike off a surface and bounce off. They seem to think that gas pressure is caused by the gas lazily lying on top of an object. And it gets worse.
Tony, that's the point. I mean, is he kind of implying here that there's a kind of Schrodinger's cat kind of function to the atmosphere? If we've not got the balloon in there or a probe in there, there's no atmosphere.
No, I'm not saying anything of the sort. One more time, very quickly for the children watching. If I take a ball and I put it here, gas particles bounce off it. As they bounce off it, there's a change of momentum which provides a force. Now, the total force over the total area will give me the pressure that I can measure. If I take that object out, then I now no longer have an object experiencing that, so I can't measure the pressure. The gas particles are just bouncing off themselves. It's not difficult. This whole Schrodinger's cat and does the atmosphere exist or not is ludicrous. And you'd think that the other scientific experts on the panel would say, well, hang on, no, he's not saying that. That is ludicrous. But they don't.
If I go and I fill up my propane tank at the local Walmart here, and I take that propane tank and I put it out in my storage shed, and there's nobody out there to measure anything with it, does it have any gas pressure?
Incredible, isn't it? Now, before I go any further, I'd just like to say that that is Bobby Nadell. He's under a lot of fire for the minute because he appeared in the Netflix documentary Behind the Curve, and I really, truly recommend anybody watches it. In that, he pretty much did more harm to Flat Earth than I ever could by proving that the Earth actually rotates. It's hilarious. You want to go and watch it. Anyway, back to this. Our next scientific genius, sleeping warrior, Anthony Riley, then watches a video by somebody called Mick West. Now, Mick West does a computer simulation. I've linked his video in the description. He does a computer simulation where he shows the Earth and how the Earth's gravitational pull causes the atmosphere and causes a gradient in pressure in the atmosphere. However, Sleeping Warrior completely misunderstands what that video is. And you know what? Just have a listen. Just substitute the word ball for balloon and have a laugh.
What he's trying to say is that when there's an atmosphere, right, bearing in mind that he's demonstrating a gas pressure right now on screen, this is like gas particles floating around, there's going to be a pressure here. What he's saying is that when you put a balloon in the equation, the particles all bounce off the balloon and somehow get gravity towards the balloon and create the gas pressure for the surface of the balloon. That's what he's trying to say.
No, Anthony, what I'm not saying is if I take a balloon or a ball and put it here, its own gravitational pull causes an atmosphere around it. What I'm saying is the gas particles move randomly in all directions. If I put something within that gas, they're going to strike it. It's not difficult. It really is not difficult. And again, you'd think the rest of the Globebusters team would say, no, Anthony, no, he's not saying that the balloon has its own gravitational pull. I think you're mistaken. No, they go on to say this.
Does he have experimental evidence for this animation, or this is merely a thought experiment, or is this like data that's mapped out into the animation?
No, there is no experimental data suggesting that if I put a balloon or a ball here, it's going to develop its own mini atmosphere, because that's bollocks. But still, that's not the craziest thing they talk about while looking at this little clip.
And here's the other thing. I mean, they're claiming that gravity is doing this. So, you know, by that logic, we should be able to take a big old lead ball and measure a barometric pressure differential right at the surface of the ball, right? Because the gravity of the ball is attracting a higher particulate.
Sorry, I missed the end of that. What did you say? Bobby, that is absolutely brilliant. How these guys aren't embarrassed to spout this nonsense, I've absolutely no idea. And they do it live to hundreds of people every single week, just displaying their ignorance. There is nobody alive that thinks that a ball here or a balloon or a big metal ball here is going to create its own mini atmosphere around it when the Earth, with such a ginormous mass in comparison, is right below it. That is just not what the heliocentric model says. So either you can't understand the extremely simple concept that the Earth is much, 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 much bigger than a ball, or you're being deliberately dishonest. Dishonest maybe like you would be if you just proven that the Earth is rotating. Anyway, next up, and it's a little bit cheeky, this next one, is Anthony Riley's inability to understand on a diagram what arrows mean. And I'll just let you watch this because I'm sure you'll all get it.
And he even says that these gas pressures will spread out, but he's not showing that, is he? He's showing that these gas pressures are concentrated in the middle.
Yeah, Anthony, brilliant. I've just drawn those 6 big outward-facing arrows to show that the gas is going to stay where it is. Well done. Now, the next clip isn't really them making a mistake. It's just me having a laugh. When I was watching this, I heard this.
You know, let's try and get through this because honestly, since we started playing Conspiracy Cats, we've lost 200 live viewers.
Yeah, 200 people are banging their head against a brick wall, totally baffled by why you can't understand such a simple concept. Anyway, the next bit, again, it's just one of my favourite little cheeky bits. Anthony Riley here decides he wants to pull apart the well-known equation PV equals nRT because, after all, he is the man to do it. And he's going to start by Googling the definition of volume, but he's not going to cherry pick. He's very clear about that. He's going to choose the first result that comes, right? Let's remember, he's going to choose the first result.
The other thing is he's got in that equation PV equals nRT, that V, that volume, if you look at the definition of volume, it has the word container in it, right? But on Earth, there isn't a container according. Yeah, just literally type in volume definition and read what the first one that comes up. Don't cherry pick one, just read the first one. Number 2 there.
Brilliant, Anthony. Let's not cherry pick. Pick the first one. Pick the first one. Oh, no, number 2. Just amazing. Now, in steps Jeren from the channel Jerenism. Now, Jeren, he also featured in a documentary Behind the Curve, where he did an experiment in front of the film team and ended up proving that the Earth was actually a globe. It's brilliant. Let's see what he's got to say.
shouldn't really the gas pressure be the greatest the higher up you get away from the Earth if the Earth spins? I mean, isn't that the way a centrifuge works?
Right, so you've just heard the man. Jerry from Jeronism claims that if the Earth was spinning, it would act like a centrifuge, and because of that, as we went higher into the atmosphere, the pressure should be getting higher. Now, I know and you know that there's no centrifuge on the planet that takes 24 hours to spin round once. That wouldn't be a centrifuge. It would be some sort of, I don't know, carousel for people with motion sickness. It's ridiculous. But do you think the rest of the Globebusters team told him that was ridiculous? What do you think Bobby Nadell said this?
At the equator, yeah.
Brilliant. Now, my favourite bit about this is Anthony Riley, aka Sleeping Warrior, suddenly forgets what team he's on, and he comes out with this belting comment.
A centrifuge relies on a barrier to contain the centrifuge force, right? So with
Yeah, so even by your own sort of twisted, wrong logic, what you're claiming is if the Earth does act like a centrifuge, then it can't possibly have a dome, and we can't possibly be in a container, because then we would see what Jaron says we should see that we don't see. It's all very confusing. Now, I'm going to stop this. I may come back and do a second part on this. This stream went on for hours and hours, and it was just ridiculous from start to finish. I don't want to make this video drag on and on. All I'm hoping that I've done is just shown, again, that these Globebusters are so academically weak in their understanding of, well, anything, that it's comical. It's absolutely comical. I've linked their video in the description. I've linked my original video that they commented on in the description, and I've linked Mick West's video in the description as well. So please check all those out. Let's just see if Jaron has psychic powers. This is how he closed.
No, I think you guys said it well. He's just going to come back and make fun of whatever we said anyway, and then draw his little picture again with his little dots and move on. So, because there is no answer.
Well, I do feel bad about smashing you so badly, but to be honest, you deserve it. So, Jaron, I want to leave you on a high. You were right about the fact that I was going to make a video making fun of the things you said, but when you say the things you say, I can't help it. I really can't. Please keep making more videos. It's brilliant. I haven't drawn the dots on the whiteboard that you said. So just for you, Jaron, so you can be right about something. There you go, mate. I might see you in a part 2. Bye-bye.